If you're not looking to waste time browsing through which self-help books are actually worth reading and want a tried and tested list of really awesome recommendations, then you've come to the right place. So I've read over 100 books within the space of self-improvement and personal development. So in this video, I've compiled a whole list of self-improvement books that I think are a must-read in 2023. And I've got recommendations for personal finance, productivity, love and relationships, mindset, and building your dream life, as well as health. As always, timestamps below if you want to skip ahead because I value your time. But before we get into it, if you're new here, my name is Tika and I post videos every Sunday on self-improvement, productivity, health, and well-being. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, then do subscribe. Starting with money, because this has been a widely requested topic in the comments. And in fact, I do plan on releasing some personal finance related videos in the near future, so do stay tuned for that. Okay, so if your goal in life is financial freedom, then you need to read these two books. And I've grouped them together for number one because they're by the same author. So the first one is The Millionaire Fastlane by MJ DeMarco, and the second one is Unscripted by the same author. And The Millionaire Fastlane is the first book, so I'd recommend starting there before moving on to Unscripted. Let me just say, no two books have completely changed my outlook on life and money and career more so than these two books. I will continue to rave about them until the grave. Please do not be fooled by how cheesy and awful the title and the cover of this book looks, because honestly, this is a treasure trove for how to achieve that financially free life. So MJ DeMarco is a self-made millionaire, and the premise of this book is that you've got the slow lane to wealth and then the fast lane to wealth. So the slow lane is the path that most of us are familiar with, and it's basically the whole working your 9-to-5 corporate job for decades and working really hard to finally enjoy retirement and the fruits of your labor at a much later stage in life. His argument is that this is a very inefficient way of building wealth, because by the time you're 60 and sitting on this stack of cash that you saved up over decades, you'll be way too tired and your health would have deteriorated so much that you won't be able to enjoy all that money that you saved up, or at least enjoy it fully. Alternatively, there's the fast lane, which is basically getting rich quick and young. And what I mean by get rich quick is within the span of 5 to 10 years instead of a few decades like in the slow lane. The book says in order to do that, you essentially need to start your own business. You need to own something that's going to generate wealth for you exponentially without you having to sell your time for it. And that is how you can achieve true financial freedom. And it literally takes you step by step on how to go about doing that, from how to start your own business to how to manage your money and all that good stuff. So Unscripted is a really good accompaniment to The Millionaire Fastlane. It's not quite the sequel to it, but he did write it after the first book. So this book completely changed the way that I think about how I should be living my life. To reference The Matrix here, it was really like I had swallowed the red pill and woke up to an alternative way of living, which is the unscripted way. The blue pill in reference here is basically how the 99% of people live, which is slogging away at your 9-to-5 corporate job, getting paychecks, and essentially being a cog in the capitalist machine. So this life he refers to as the scripted life. Bottom line is, if you want to change your life, then read this book. I would consider this essential reading, and I would 100% recommend it to anyone. Okay, so the second, or rather third book in the space of personal finance is Psychology of Money. So I don't have the book with me right now, but I'll just put a picture of it maybe here. This is a book that really changed my relationship with money in very positive ways. When we think about money, we think of spreadsheets and numbers and stock values going up and down, and it feels like this really cold, unfeeling, numeric thing that only really concerns the logical left side of the brain. But this couldn't be farther from the truth, and the Psychology of Money uncovers all of that. It talks about how emotions and our psychology actually play a huge role in the money decisions that we make and ultimately how wealthy we can become in life. It was also the book that introduced me to the concept of financial freedom for the very first time. In the book, he says, the ability to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, for as long as you want, is priceless. It is the highest dividend money pays. And honestly, ever since I read that, it became my motto in life. Another key takeaway that I got from this book is that we are extremely poor forecasters of our future selves. And there's actually a term for this called the end of history illusion. Basically, this phenomenon describes how we're very well aware of how much we've changed in the past, yet for some reason, we really underestimate how much we will change in the future, especially in terms of our goals and desires in life. So the book argues that in addition to saving money for specific things like a house, house or a car, it is equally as important to save money for no particular reason at all, because you never know what you might want to do with that money in the future. And your future self will thank you for it, because that money that you've been saving over time is going to give you that option to buy whatever life experience it is that you want in the future. When I first started working full-time and I was planning out my life, I had decided back then that I wanted to save up for my own apartment. And so I put aside money every month for that particular reason. But then fast forward 3 years, I decided that actually maybe I don't want that for my life anymore. And in fact, this year was when I decided that I wanted to start my own YouTube channel. And so although I had initially saved up money for that particular reason, which is the apartment, I actually ended up using a portion of that for my YouTube gear and also for a brand new laptop to edit videos with, because my old laptop was already 7 years old and on its last legs. So this piece of advice from Psychology of Money has really helped me in my life. I was so glad that I had put that money aside, even though it's being used for a completely different reason now than what it was intended for initially. Alright, so the second topic for today is on productivity, and the first book that I wanted to talk about is Essentialism. I don't have a copy of the book with me because I read it on my Kindle, but I will put a picture here. So Essentialism is about making the wisest possible investment of your time and energy in order to operate at your highest point of contribution by doing only what is essential. This has made such a massive change in my life. I used to be really harsh on myself in terms of needing to do and achieve everything that I possibly can, and then putting 100% of my effort into each of those things, which was really a recipe for burnout and extreme stress, and also inefficiency, which at the end of the day is very counterproductive. So this book really opened my eyes in terms of managing my limited time and energy in the most efficient way possible, so that you can achieve really amazing results in those areas of your life that truly matter to you. Alright, so this next book is 4,000 Weeks by Oliver Burkeman. I love the lessons in this book so much that I actually made an entire video on it. So if you want to check that out, then I'll put the link in the description below, and I'll also try to put a link somewhere on the screen here. In that video, I go into more depth in terms of what key lessons I learned from the book and how I've applied it in my life. But to quickly summarize it here, fundamentally, we only have so much time in our lives. And Oliver Burkeman argues that the first step in order to manage your time in the most effective and meaningful way possible is to accept this fact. You can't possibly do everything that you want to do and see everything that you want to see in this lifetime, and to achieve all the goals that you've set out for yourself. So knowing all of this, how do you then begin to manage your time? And 4,000 Weeks basically talks about all of that. By the way, if you're wondering how I'm able to remember all these points from all of these books, it's because I use this platform called Shortform. Shortform provides hundreds of book guides on nonfiction books, which are kind of like book summaries, but on steroids. The books that they have cover a whole range of topics, and the ones that I'm most interested in at the moment are on self-improvement and productivity, entrepreneurship, psychology, and relationships. What makes their book guides especially helpful is that they contain one-page summaries that distill the main points of the book. I found this super helpful for me in deciding whether I want to read the book or not. They also contain chapter-by-chapter summaries as well as analyses on the major sets of ideas presented in the book. They also have interactive exercises so that you can reflect on the ideas and that prompt you to take immediate action on the lessons learned. Shortform publishes book guides and articles every single week, and the awesome thing is that subscribers actually get to vote on what books get covered. If you join through my link, which is shortform.com/tika, then you will receive a free trial of unlimited access as well as 20% off of your annual subscription. I've put a link in the description below as well to make it easier. It is an affiliate link, so I do get a bit of a kickback from it if you do sign up using my link, but of course there's no pressure. I'll love you if you do, and I'll love you equally as much even if you don't. Okay, back to the video. Okay, so this next category is about love and relationships. And if there's one book that has irrevocably changed the way that I view love, it's this book right here, which is Conversations on Love by Natasha Lunn. And I'd argue that this is one of my favorite books of all time. And I've read hundreds, okay? So I need you guys to know that this is not light praise. Conversations on Love is basically a deep exploration of love in all of its forms. From romantic love to familial love, friendship, faith, self-love, love after grief, and so much more. Over the span of 4 years, the author basically goes off to interview a bunch of people, from renowned authors to therapists to experts on the topic, to create this absolute treasure trove of wisdom on love. I feel like after reading this book, my viewpoint on love expanded so much to the point where I never realized how truly limited my viewpoint on love was previously. The prose is also super eloquent and beautifully written. This book has honestly opened my heart to all the different forms of love I have around me, as well as the love that I have yet to experience in my life. It's absolutely life-changing, and I would 100% 100% recommend anyone to read this book. Alright, so this next topic is on mindset / building your dream life. And the book that I want to recommend is Everything is Figureoutable by Marie Forleo. I hope I'm saying that right. Forleo. Yeah, this book. Really, really great book. And I think Everything is Figureoutable has become one of my favorite phrases ever since I read this. It instills the idea that no matter what you want to do in life and whatever goals you want to achieve, you can absolutely figure it out somehow. You're going to come up with so many excuses for why you can't do it or why it won't work, but really there's always a way around it. And that is the message that this book carries. If you can't do it, it's either because you're not being imaginative enough or it's because you don't want it bad enough. All of us are supremely capable of achieving what we want in life. If there's even just one other person out there in this world right now that is doing whatever it is that you want to be doing, then that is proof to you that achieving that thing is 100% possible. If they can do it, then you can do it too. It's such a positive and creative way to go about life. And truly, I love the mindset that this book has instilled me with. And actually, this book kind of reminds me of what my mom used to tell me all the time growing up, which is that there's more than one pathway to get to where you want to be in life. And just because one pathway closes doesn't mean there's another pathway that you can explore. It might not be the most convenient or most obvious pathway, but if you want it bad enough for yourself, then you'll figure out a way to get there. Okay, so next category is health. And I wanted to start off with this book, which is Why We Sleep. And this was written by Harvard sleep expert Matthew Walker. And honestly, after reading this book, I've never thought about sleep the same way ever again. This book is really what made me want to prioritize sleep in my life. I never really took sleep that seriously before, and I used to think like, oh, you know, a few nights a week where I only have 6 hours of sleep should be fine, like what's the big deal? But then after reading this book and after learning about all of the benefits of good sleep and also all the major risks involved with having lack of sleep, it really made me think twice about everything. Sleep affects literally everything, from more obvious things like your energy levels and your ability to concentrate throughout the day, to other things like your immune system and your mental health and a bunch of other things. So if you're really struggling with your sleep quality and you feel like you need a kick up the butt to really prioritize your sleep, then I would highly recommend this book. Okay, so this next book on health is Vegan Propaganda by Ed Winters, and I don't have a copy with me right now, but I will put a picture right here on the screen for you. All right, so I had some reservations with bringing this one up because I know some of y'all are gonna jump in the comments on this one. And this is because in one of my previous videos where I mentioned I was vegan, it sparked this whole debate in the comments about veganism and health and the long-term effects of it, which I honestly wasn't expecting. But yeah, anyways, I figured that I would mention this book here because I feel like it really opened my eyes to veganism and health. And I wouldn't be talking about things that I didn't genuinely think would be either interesting or valuable to your life in some way. Anyway, back to the book. This book is essentially the ultimate vegan handbook, and it's suitable for non-vegans who want to know more about the arguments for it, as well as for vegans who want to be a bit more well-informed about the different areas of where veganism can really impact our lives positively. And this book literally covers every aspect of veganism, from the animal rights aspect to the environmental aspect to personal health, as well as health on a societal and global scale, which I found particularly interesting to read about. And Ed Winters writes in such a succinct and very well-argued manner. Every possible argument that you can think of against veganism, he essentially has a counter argument for it. But of course, I know that a lot of you hearing this will be pretty skeptical of it, and rightfully so, because you should always question what you read and not just take things at face value. So there's a bunch of stuff on health in this book, and like I mentioned, he kind of covers the individual aspect of health, and he also covers how in a more societal global level, veganism actually helps to prevent a lot of global diseases and pandemics and things like that. Even if you're not vegan, and even if you don't think you will ever go vegan, it's still a super interesting read in my opinion. Ed Winters also has a YouTube channel if you want to go check it out, and I will put a link of it in the description below for you. Alright guys, so those are all the book recommendations I have for you today. Let me know if you've read any of these books in the comments. I would love to know what your thoughts were on them. And also, if you've got some favorites that you would like to share on the topic of self-improvement, then please do post those as well. I am always looking for great book recommendations. And since this video is about reading, I figured you guys might be interested in one of my previous videos where I talk about how I read 70 books in a year, and I'll try to put the thumbnail here and yeah, a link somewhere here as well. And alternatively, I'll put it in the description. So in that video, I cover some really easy and actionable tips for how you can squeeze more reading into your day despite all of your daily obligations and responsibilities that you have. All right, guys, till next time, see you in the next video.